Hope you are all doing well. Thank you for jumping on Friday Team Call. Let's get the show on the road. Excited to see all your smiling faces. Hope everybody's had a great week. Let's take a look at some leaderboards. So this is for obviously just through this morning. Turn in does not cut off until end of today, midnight Eastern, but this is as of today. So I know we'll have more business coming through, as I saw on Crew, some messages going out. Looks like people are finishing up the week strong, so that's awesome to see. So let's see what we got so far for the week. We'll also do the monthly leaderboards and some special announcements. Hold on here. Let me make a quick adjustment to the Zooms, and here we go. All right, for the week so far, we have Sydney Lee, 1 application, $639, direct to Stella Dinwiddie. Stacy Love, 2 applications, $2,388, direct to Donna Bates. Stella Dinwiddie, 3 applications, $2,688, direct to myself. Rumor has it more in the pipeline. Donna Bates, 1 application, $2,791, direct to Spencer Cushion. Donna going above and beyond. If you haven't heard the story yet, go on Crew, read that. That's a great story of sticking with it and making sure she gets the client taken care of. That's awesome, Donna. I love to hear that. Terry Myers, 3 applications, $3,172, direct to Stella Dinwiddie. Spencer Cushion, 2 applications, $3,813, direct to myself. Number 1 for the week, guys. We have a brand new number 1. Excited to see Miss Ayanna Phillips, 3 applications, $5,984. That's her first time on the leaderboard. I believe, if I remember right, I heard she's got a family event or something this morning, and so that's why she's not with us. But she has been plugging in, and a new rider, learning the system, coming up quickly, and now reaching the number 1 slot for top rider so far. And again, more business to come in, so she's may have to work a little bit to keep that today, because she may get knocked off that purse, but that's okay. As of Friday morning, she is number 1, so awesome. Shout out to Ayanna. For the month of April, we had a monster month in April. We had 40, oops, I cut my page off, 40, I think it was 47 riders, if I remember right, for the entire hierarchy. We're going to do top 10, obviously, for time's sake. But we had at number 10, Terry Myers, 14 applications, $12,388. Derek McPherson, 16 applications, $12,736. Eric Sullivan, 17 applications, $12,876. Donna Bates, 14 applications, $13,443. Stacy Love, 18 applications, $13,732. Paul Gibson, 13 applications, $14,233. Mr. Spencer Cushion, 14 applications, $17,812. John Paul Vetter, 11 applications, $17,946. Jenny Gray, 25 applications, $21,126. And the number 1 for the month of April, Miss Stella Dinwiddie, 25 applications, $28,942, leading from the front as always. And we have, as a result of the last month, we announced a new award, and we're going to announce the winner of that award for the month of April. This is the most prestigious award that we've ever given out in the Menifee hierarchy. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the Golden Chicken Award winner, Miss Stella Dinwiddie, for the most applications written in the month of April. Huge applause. I wish I had an applause sound effect here. This is, I'm a little unprepared this morning. My apologies. I spent so much time on the cheesy graphic that I didn't have the applause effects ready to go. So my apologies. I'll get that fixed in the future. But hats off to Stella. Stella, next week you will receive, actually, that behind your picture is an actual Golden Chicken Award that will be arriving at your location, and it will be engraved. It will have your name on it. And what you will need to do is next Friday. Yes, thank you, Jim, and hat tip to Jim for inspiring this on a call last last month, but Stella will be getting a golden chicken, and you need to show up and show that on the next Zoom. I will warn you, this will cause a lot of jealousy. There will be people that now have a target on your back. Ladies and gentlemen, each and every one of you can win this award. All it is the most app count. So you don't have to have the most APV. You just have to have the most apps. So that means you have 30 kids apps for $100 a piece. You take this most prestigious award home for yourself. So for the month of May, you still have plenty of time to be able to land this. So congratulations, Stella, for being the inaugural winner of the Golden Chicken Award. I'm excited. This is, like I said, this is the biggest award we've ever given out, and no expense was spared on this particular award. So, all right, congratulations. Announcements next Wednesday. The national call will be a big announcement call. So guys, anytime they make a big scene or a big announcement and highlight a particular call, a national call, that's typically a rollout call where they're going to deliver some big information about some of the things that's happening on the company wide, some of the things that they are doing for us to make this an even better opportunity, some of the new products, services, cash flow opportunities. I mean, all the stuff that they're working on behind the scenes. So be there next Wednesday on the national call. Take advantage of that. Make sure that you are plugging into that. Let's take a brief moment for any of our leaders on the team here for any other announcements, shout outs to the team, and feel free to go ahead and unmute for those of you who are wanting to pop on and any announcements for your teams.
Just a quick shout out to Victoria, seasoned new agent, and in the top 10 of new agents for the entire Pogue hierarchy. So big deal. Congratulations, Victoria. Her foot is definitely on the gas.
That was awesome. I saw that yesterday, and she the Pogue hierarchy. So that's at the top of our family tree, if you will, and that's out of guys, that's out of several hundred riders. For Victoria to get recognized on that, that is awesome. Love to see that new rider, but coming in and making a splash right out of the gate. So love seeing that. Any other announcements? Anybody else got anything else they need to share? If not, we will. Oh, Terry, there we go. Terry.
I just have a quick shout out to Miss Marilyn. She's joining us this morning. She's been really plugging in this past week and joining our Zoom rooms and starting to write some business and running her first appointments. So we just love having her on the team. So shout out to Miss Marilyn.
Great. That's fantastic. We love the growth.
I had to text Diana a shout out since she's not on the call. Otherwise I would mention her. So I texted her this morning.
Yeah, that's great. And I know she had some family stuff going. So always important to take time for that stuff. But we love seeing her. She's usually plugged in every week on this call. So but all right, anybody else before we move on to the agenda for the day? We good? All right, we are going to turn the call over right now to the Golden Chicken Award winner herself. Ladies and gentlemen, get out your pens and paper. You will want to take notes because she has now shown you the way to the Golden Award winner. So let's learn and get in that realm as well. Go ahead, Stella.
Thank you so much, Chris. Oh my gosh, that has to be the best award. That is amazing. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Chris. I'm so honored. I can't wait to get my chicken. I love it so much already. And the graphics were amazing. I took a screenshot so I can share it with my family because it's the best ever. Like that is so amazing. I'm just honestly, that is so cool. Thank you so much. I'm so super grateful and blessed to be here always. You guys, thank you so much for being here, for showing up. That's more than half the battle, is showing up and showing up in life, right? showing up just to get up and showing your faces. Like, you guys are the most amazing team to work with. And thank you so much for those of you that put your, that let us see you. If you didn't, I get it sometimes, but you know what? It's just so nice to be able to see you, because we have so many new team members that if you did wash your hair this morning and you want to show your face, that would be awesome, because there's a lot of people that don't know you and who are like, oh, who's that? Who's that? You know, so not to put you on the spot, but I am, you know, that like, you know, we'd love to know who each other is, right? So anyways, with that being said, I just want to, this call this morning is intended to help you. So please have your pen and paper ready and be ready to take notes, because what we're going to share with you here today is going to help you help more families. And if you've never done this and you're just learning it, well, now this will help you help more families earlier on, rather than waiting, taking longer, like it did for me. When I first started, I really struggled really hard because I went out there thinking, oh, you know, I've helped people with something else, so I know how to, okay, just let me go talk to them. So now we have a lot of wonderful training resources for you, like, you know, Quality U, the Fast Track, the Summit, all of those are so valuable. But this is gonna genuinely and sincerely help you help your families self-identify their needs. I was inspired to share a lot of what I've learned here today through my experience, and also in learning how to run a quote unquote fire drill from listening to Ayers and Cicely Newsom when I first started, and I'll go back to them from time to time. I love just, you know, refreshing my brain, keeping it fresh and constant. Our brains, and you're going to hear me say this a lot, and you always do, those of you that know me, you're like, oh, here she goes again. But I'm telling you, you guys, what's between our ears is our biggest resource here, because it's like our muscles in our body. Like, you know, if you don't continue lifting weights, you're not going to maintain muscle and tone. If you stop lifting weights, or you stop exercising and you start getting lazy, you're going to show it. You're going to get flabby. You know, I know what that looks like. And the same thing with our brain. You've got to keep it refreshed every morning with self-development, so you can maintain that confidence and belief in yourself, because we don't help every family that we sit with. So you need that more than ever. And then also just training, you know, product training, and then you learn new things every day, and hopefully you'll learn something new today. A lot of what I'm talking about, you can access easily through SoundCloud or through our HQ site, okay? And today we're going to be talking about what some people call the financial fire drill. There are forms in Quality that will show you how to walk through that financial fire drill. For me, I'm a really simple person, and I help everybody either over the phone or over Zoom. I'm not in the house. I haven't gone out in the house since COVID broke out. It's like over 2 years. And so for me, I love to keep it simple. And when I'm helping somebody over the phone, I want to help them self-identify what they need. And so there's a stick figure presentation that I learned from Justin Finney. I don't do it exactly the way he does, because it doesn't fit my personality, and that's okay. So, you know, whatever you learn today or along your journey, you're going to learn a new tool, a new craft that will help you with your families, and you're going to modify it so it fits your personality. You know, because we all hear people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And I need you to understand that when we go through this, it's going to help your family self-identify. I can't say that enough, because I need you to understand that not everybody we sit with has a true need. If you heard Omar Diaz talking about it the other day, it was such a beautiful reminder. And not everybody we sit with needs to cover the whole entire mortgage. And, you know, and I need you to understand that a lot of times it's not, you know, what I want you to know, that if we don't help them, it's not always because it's about you or that you lack anything. It's not a result of that. It can be because you care enough to identify what they need, whether it's a luxury or a need, or maybe they don't need as much coverage as they think they need. And you can help them now find coverage that they can afford, or maybe they didn't have any before, or maybe they did, but that coverage covers their ex-wife and their kids, and now they got a new wife and they're like, I got to find something for her. I mean, there's a ton of different, you know, scenarios that we help families with. And this that we help people with is in an intangible product that we help our families with. It's not a tangible product like a picture or a car. You know, it's not something hang on the wall and we're selling to them how pretty it looks there and how all their family friends come over, you know, they're gonna see you know, how it glimmers, or when they get in the car they're gonna smell it, or, you know, it's nothing like that. It is an emotional purchase, and we don't sell them anything. We consult, we find the need, and we resolve that need. If you find yourself talking more and telling people why they need it and selling them on why they need it, you need this because you need it because of this, you're not going to help as many families. You're doing it wrong. I did that. That's how I know. Ask Chris. He'll tell you. Because there was a time early on in my career where I was sitting with people, I'll never forget it. And I was early on, you know, I was, when I first came here, a lot of you know, I was broken, and I could barely afford 50-cent leads. And I was driving out, this is before COVID hit, and I was driving out to people's homes, and I drive far away. And there was a gal who I sat with, and she needed it. She did not have insurance. She was concerned about her mortgage when she wasn't there because she wanted to make sure her kids could take it over. And I thought, you know, she told me, well, I want to make sure that, you know, my kids can have my house. And so I'm like, wow, you know, wrapped up deal. So I go in there, sit in her kitchen table, and I don't help her. And I get in my car, and I've gone through a streak of like not helping a few different people, and I'm like in tears. And I call Chris, and I'm like, Chris, I was just in this lady's home and she didn't have insurance and I didn't help her. I don't know what I'm not doing right. And he says, well, what did you say? What did you ask her? And I go on, and I'm like, blah, 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 blah. And he goes, okay, hold on. I hear you telling her why she needs it and what it's for. I never heard you once tell me that you asked her why she needs it and, you know, what that looks like those kind of important questions. And it was silent because like a light bulb went off, but it was comforting because I was able to understand that, you know, because sometimes you can get frustrated and feel like, you know, gosh, maybe I'm not good enough to do this, or, you know, or this just doesn't work. And when you understand how it works, then you can work it and you can help your families. But yeah, we don't help every single family. There's going to be families that you'll come across and they don't need it, or they can't afford it. But in that case, it was because I wasn't asking the right questions. And so that's what we'll go through here today, because the way that we help people is by resolving their need. And how do we solve that need? Chris always used to tell me to peel that onion, Stella, you got to peel that onion. And I would, say, okay, but honestly, I didn't really fully understand what it meant. And it took me a long time to figure that out, what that meant. So I'm going to walk you through what that means step by step. And it starts with, and please write this down, asking important questions to your family. Like, when you ask them, what do you want this insurance to do for you? And they say something like, well, I want it to pay for the house in case I die. When you're brand new, you think that, oh man, I got it. I'm going to help them. They need it. That's not good enough. Write that down. That's called a surface why. It is never good enough. You need to ask more questions. Like, well, why is that important to you? And they may be like, well, what do you mean? And you're going to be like, well, can you help me walk me through that? Like, if, you say that you want the house paid off, if you're not here, well, what happens if you're not here and the house isn't paid off? What does that look like? Those kind of questions, and then we got to make sure that they know we heard them by validating them. And from what they just told us, because here's the key. They need to tell us why they need it. It's not the other way around. If we tell them why they need it, now we're being salespeople, and everybody hates salespeople. I hate salespeople. I don't want someone telling me what I need to do. If someone does that, it's like, wah, wah, wah. And I'm just like, okay, thanks. I'm going to either be really nice and say, oh, thank you. Yeah, that's okay. I'll call me back another time. I'm just, now's not a good time maybe, or, because I just don't want to hear it from them. But if they really ask me sincere, genuine questions of like why it's important to me and open me up, then I know that they care about me. So if we ask them and we dig deep and they explain to us what that looks like and why they need it, now we are a consultant and we are resolving that need. That's what we do. There was another our audio that I heard from this guy, and if you go in the archives under SoundCloud, or it's an HQ, and there's like 25 of them called, it's labeled under agent training. And there's one I love, and I listened to it probably 20 times when I first started, and I'll still go back occasionally because it really helps me ground me, remember why I'm here. And the guy said that, yeah, the difference between a salesperson and a consultant is, he goes, like, if you take your lead sheet and you slide it to him and you say, yeah, I bet you filled this out because you wanted to make sure the mortgage is paid off if she's not here. That's a salesperson. But if you turn it around and you say, tell me why you filled this form out. Why was it important to you? Now we're being a consultant. Big difference. So write that down. I'm here to solve a need. I'm here to find out what is their need. Write this down. I'm here to listen and validate what they told me they needed. And I will repeat it back to them so they know I heard them. That's huge, you guys. So, and, after they've told us why they need it, we're going to confirm and, we're going to, ask them, we're going to validate them. We're going to say, so you're saying that if you didn't come home and your income stopped coming in, are you telling me that Sally, your wife, she wouldn't be able to stay in the home? Is that what you're telling me? And he's going to say, yeah, she's going to be up the creek. And that's when it's a perfectly applicable time. And that's okay for you to say, and you should respond with, so we should probably put some coverage in place today, shouldn't we? that is the perfect time to ask that question. Write that down. After they validated what their need is and they've told you their dire straits, you ask them. So it sounds like we should put some coverage in place today, shouldn't we? And that's after you have validated and you use their words. If we use our words, it means nothing. When you use their words, it means everything, because that comes from their heart, not from our mouths. So now let's go through our process, that we're going to show you, and how you can help them identify if it's a need or if it's a luxury. And you can tell them up front, what I'm going to go through with you today is going to help you self-identify if it's a luxury or if it's a need, and if it's affordable or not for you, and this will help you self-identify. And also, this fire drill can also be a rapport builder, for when you're helping your families, because sometimes we're not all inclined, or it's not easy for some of us to maybe make conversation with people, but you do need to connect. We all know that that's important. So this will help be a rapport builder, because you can use it as a way to connect with your clients and your families and show them how much you really care, because you're not just giving them a quote. We never do that. You're actually going to dig deep to understand what their need is and how you can resolve it. And you can do this over the phone or over Zoom. That's what I love about this, because a lot of people, more than half of the people I help, is over the phone. And I know there's a lot of you out there like Stacy and Terry. Oh my gosh, Miss Terry Myers, who helps people with an IUL over the phone, which blows my mind. But you're going to learn that you're going to start to help more and more people over the phone, because there's a lot of people that will say, I don't want to do Zoom, almost to the point to where they'll even cancel an appointment because they don't want to mess with Zoom. So, we're going to ask them what's more comfortable with them, but that's a different topic. Anyway, so we're going to talk about, how to help them. And it's going to help you confirm why we're here and the logistics of why we're here. And then we can convert those logistics to the emotion of why we're here. Okay. And why this is important for our families to have in the first place. And we have to have a good logical reason for our families, because it can't just be an emotional purchase, because that's what can create chargebacks down the road. And meaning that, they are very emotional in a moment, but then down the road, they don't really see the value of how that's going to help their loved ones or help them. And when they have that $200 premium hit their bank account each month, it's going to be easier for them to say, you know what, I'm going to cancel this. You need to help them self-identify that value and how that is important for them until they die. This process that I'm going to show you is going to help you fill in the color into the picture that we're trying to paint, in order to help our families properly. And I called upon two amazing people to help me today, and that is Mr. Jim Arch and Miss Stacy Love. So Jim Arch and Stacy Love, if you folks can unmute yourself, and we're gonna do a little role play. We're gonna pretend like I'm the agent and they're the client, and we're gonna pretend like I'm helping them over the phone or over Zoom. And for the sake of what most of us do here, we'll just say that it's gonna be something over the phone. So Jim and State, and here's also why I want to go through this role play with you, is because most of the people that I help, it's with very small whole life policies. We call those critical coverage or equity protection plans. most of the people we help in our industry are critical, not critical illness, critical coverage. And that means that critical time when somebody dies and what that looks like for their beneficiaries, the loved ones who's going to take over that house, whether it's their spouse, their kids, maybe it's their grandkids, maybe it's their neighbor. I mean, I've helped a lot of people who they don't have any beneficiaries, but they love their neighbor like it's their own family. And one guy helped with him with 3 different plans because he wanted to make sure that one covered his funeral, one gave his neighbors time to make mortgage payments when he wasn't there, and then the third was an accidental to cover everything, just in case if he died of an accident. He loved his neighbor's son like his own son, and he didn't want it to go to his brother, didn't like his own family, but that happens. So we're going to pretend like Jim and Stacy are both 70 years old. Now, they don't look anything like it, but I wanted to use the age 70 because that is an age that is not too old for them to still qualify for accidental death. And it's still an age, you know, that you can, it's a good age. On the whole life plans, the oldest age typically with most carriers is going to be like age 85. And that's if there's no health issues. If they have health issues where it requires like a return of premium, like those graded plans, those typically stop at age 80. I learned the hard way. I had a gal on the phone in our Zoom room and I was helping her with a plan. It was going to be $150 a month. This was 2 days ago. And Terry knows because I told her and Ayana about it. And I went to go do the application and she was 83 years old. And the cap was 80 years old for a return premium. So I couldn't help her. But so that was a hard lesson learned. So you can take note of that right now. All right, so Jim and Stacy are each 70 years old, and I'm actually basing this off of somebody that had recently helped. Their mortgage was $378,000, and that was on a 30-year term, like 70 years old. That means he's going to be 100 years old when he pays off that mortgage. And his monthly mortgage payment was $2,000. These are important things that you need to know when you're talking with your families, especially in the beginning. And that's, you know, asking them, you know, what their mortgage amount is, because this is where I'm going to show you how that helps them and how it makes sense for them. So let's pretend we're on the phone and I'm with Jim and Stacy. And just to give you a little background, what you don't know is that Jim, his income his income includes some veterans income, and Stacy is she has income coming in from her pension from Social Security. And sometimes when we ask people, when we go through like income and expenses, and this is super important, you guys, can you write this down? Do not ever give your families a quote until they have told you, one, why they need it, and they've told you that, yes, we should put a plan in place. Because if you start showing quotes, then it becomes a transaction, and now you are simply now you become a salesperson, and now it's hard to go back and pull that emotion or really make that deeper connection, because now they're just looking at you as a number, because now in their brain, now it's all about numbers. And so you have to make that connection first. And if they tell you early on they don't need it, it's going to release you. Now you have the ability to be able to say, well, gosh, if they tell you something like, well, like when you say, well, it sounds like we should put some coverage in place today, right? And they say, well, no, we don't really need it because I've got, I own a house, I've got, I've got my annuity, I've got this, I've got that. You know what I'm going to say to that? Okay, well, that's good to know. That's awesome that you have that. Well, it sounds like then you really don't need my help here today. I want to make the best use of our time. So it sounds like we really don't need to move forward. And I'm going to let it be quiet like that and let it sink in, because half the time they're going to say, yeah. And the other half of the time, they're going to backpedal and they're going to say, well, we do, but, one of them, a lot of times it's the wife, and she's going to say, we do, but that house is going to go to our kids, so we don't really want to sell it. And we have money in the bank, but life happens, right? Emergencies happen. When people start talking like that, that is the time I'm going to ask them, why do you say that? Because it opens up the door for them to now share with you. They may tell you, well, recently, and I have this happen so many times, our brother-in-law just died and his wife couldn't stay in the house. And that scares me. I don't want that to happen to me. Now we're peeling the onion, and now we're discovering their why. You have to have their why, because that's where you can connect with solving that need. So we're going to move on, and here we're going to on the phone. I'm meeting with Jim and Stacy. I thank them. I always love to thank my families for the opportunity to serve them, because I'm here to serve you. And so Jim and Stacy, thank you so much for meeting with me today. And we've had a little chit chat. Since I'm not in person with you anymore, we used to come out and sit at your kitchen table, and I bring out all my paperwork, and we'd go through this process together so I could, help my families self-identify if it's a luxury or if it's a need. And my families it's a quick little exercise that I'm going to do with you, and you're going to love it, because it'll help you self-identify if this is a luxury or if it's a real need. And here's what my families love when we get through this, is that most of the time, Jim and Stacy, my families don't need as much coverage as they think they do. And a lot of times I'll sit with somebody and they'll tell me, yeah, I'm so happy we sat with you because we met with this guy, and at the end of our conversation, he showed us this plan that was almost as much as a monthly mortgage. We can't afford that. Or, we don't want to be insurance poor. And I always say, yeah, exactly. That's why, I want to go through this with you. And, because you may not need it, and if you don't, we'll part as friends. But if we do find a need, then I'm going to help you find a solution that fits within your budget. Sound good? And before I say that, I'll say that fits within your budget. And then I'm going to make sure that your application gets processed so there's no hiccups, and we'll make sure that we find that coverage to get in place for you today. Okay, sound good? And they'll always say, yeah, that sounds good. If they don't, then you got to go back and figure out again that why, that need. But they should always be saying yes, and you're always getting micro yeses. It's important. So Jim and Stacy, go ahead, and do you have a pen and paper? And they might say no, and say, oh, let me go get one. Okay, I'll wait for you. So she runs and grabs one. I'll say, okay. So now on your piece of paper, Jim or Stacy, who has pen in hand, Jim or Stacy?
Stacy does.
All right, Stacy, go ahead and draw a circle on your piece of paper. And then on the outside of your circle, go ahead and draw a line coming out of the upper left-hand corner And then in the upper right-hand side, on the outside of the circle, draw a line coming out. You know, so it kind of looks like a circle with two antennas, like almost like a bug, I tell them, or an alien, and they laugh. Okay, now Jim and Stacy, you know, we know that your mortgage, we've got about 378,000 on your loan, right?
Yes.
Please note, I'm asking all these questions to also add on micro yeses. It just makes a difference. And and that's on a 30-year, correct?
Yes.
And then your mortgage payment, that's you guys, it's about $2,000 a month, is that right?
Yep.
Okay, great. Now, if we were just to add up your additional bottom line monthly expenses, you know, that honey, we have to make sure these bills get paid every single month, but just the bottom line ones, you know, like your utilities, water, sewer, garbage, your vehicle insurance, vehicle payment, your food, because you need food to live off of. If it's just those bottom line expenses, any medical, what would that be for you guys on a monthly basis?
I think we,
So car insurance is about $145. Our phone bill is about $40.
Okay.
Jim, how much would you say we spend for food?
well, I probably spend 400 and you spend 200. So let's go with 600.
Okay, so I have 145 in car insurance, about $40 on your phone bill, about 600 for food. What would you say your utilities average, Jim or Stacy?
About $300, not including our internet or TV.
Okay, and how much is your internet and TV?
$140.
Okay, so I'm going to use my calculator, and if I add up, this comes to about including, I'm going to add your mortgage in here for 2,000. So I get about 3,225 a month roughly, and we're just ballparking, so it's okay. Does that sound right?
That sounds about right.
Yeah, I'd say.
Okay, in the middle of your circle, do me a favor and go ahead and write in there, real big, $3,225. And then right below that, just go ahead and write the word out. So you're gonna do and if I'm on Zoom, I'm gonna do this. But if I'm over the phone, I'm just gonna explain to them just like you hear me, and they do it. You got that in the middle of your circle?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Oh, one thing I forgot to tell you to do, Stacy, since you have pen in hand, you know those two lines coming out of the circle?
Yes.
The one on the upper left-hand side where it ends, go ahead and do me a favor and draw a stick man on the upper left-hand side, and then the one on the upper right-hand side, go ahead and draw a stick woman.
Okay. Got it.
Okay. Now this is a good time, folks. I'm going to tell you all where usually I'll talk about my why. This is part of your role in presentation. I'm just going to quickly tell you, when I first started, I didn't have one. And God, I hope that Chris erased the Zoom call we had when he asked me to show him my role in presentation. I was all over the place. I stuttered. I didn't know what the heck I was saying. And it was awful, God awful. And this is where I learned why it was important. So your role in presentation is about your why and how you can connect it with them to show them value in why it's important to have coverage. And for me, everybody has a different why, whether you lost a loved one, whether, you know, something significant happened in your life, or it could be somebody that you know. I mean, we all know people in this agency, you know, that Amanda Torma on the Pogue Agency just recently lost her husband. They have a GoFundMe page right now. You can, if you don't have a why, you now have one. So here's what I'm going to tell them. Okay, so we have about $3,225 going out in a perfect world. And I say a perfect world because, you know, a tree didn't fall on your house. You didn't have some major medical emergency that, you know, almost wiped you out, or you didn't have, you know, you don't have to replace all 4 of your tires on your car. And the reason I say a medical emergency is because for me, you know, when I was younger, Jim and Stacy, and I just know I'm super healthy today, but years ago, and I've always been super healthy, I never suspected anything. I never got sick, but I had this bump underneath my arm, and I almost wasn't going to get it looked at, but all my friends and family said, no, you should go get that checked out, Stella. So I did. And, you know, the doctor couldn't even find it. I was trying to guide his hand. He couldn't even find it. And he said, all right, well, we'll do an ultrasound. And once he did an ultrasound, he said, well, you know what, let's do a biopsy. And then after the biopsy, he called me into his office and he showed me all these blood charts. And he explained to me that I was diagnosed with lymphoma. It's a non-Hodgkin's blood cell cancer. And then like literally a few weeks after that, you have to have, you know, these CAT scans and PET scans. And they said, you know, it was a blessing. We caught it early because my lymph nodes were like stage 1, but my throat lit up like a Christmas tree, they said. And so they wanted to do a biopsy on my throat. And they came back and said, oh, you have papillary cancer. So we want to take out your thyroid. And Jim and Stacy, I share all this to tell you, I say it because when that happened to me, the worst thing that happened to me was financial devastation. My income stopped coming in because, you know, I had to undergo chemo treatment. And when you're sitting there, you know, hooked up to an IV for 5 hours at a time, you can't go in your office. So I lost my income. I lost my life and health insurance at work because I was no longer full-time. So they put me on COBRA. Do you know what that is?
I do.
Well, yeah, it's when you have to pay for your health insurance out of pocket because I'm no longer on that group insurance coverage with my employer. So for me, it was $1,600 a month. So that on top of my mortgage, on top of all my bills, it came to a point I drained my life savings where I couldn't even put food on the table, literally. So then I drained over $100,000 out of one of my 401ks through my prior career that year. And that I took a beating because I was younger. So I was penalized heavily with taxes. And it was, I say all this to tell you that if something drastic in your life happened to you and your income stopped coming in, or worse yet, you were taken out of the game entirely. And so Jim, you know, I'm going to pick on you because you told me you were more concerned about if something happened to you, you wanted to make sure Stacy was okay. Well, what are we looking at here? Like, what is your net monthly income that we're losing coming into the house for you?
It's roughly 4,800 still.
Okay, so you know on that line with the stick man, Stacy, go ahead and write down 4,800 on that line right there like that.
Okay.
And then Stacy, if the same were to happen to you, how much income are we losing coming from you into that household?
$2,500.
Okay. All right. And then, so if I take my calculator and I add up 4,800 plus 2,500, that's about 7,300 coming in each month. Is that right?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So now we have about, so in the middle of the top of your page, go ahead and write 7,300, and underneath that, go ahead and write the word in. Okay. And we're saying that in a perfect world, meaning that you're both alive and your income's, you know, coming in, you got about 7,300 in each month. Is that right? Is that right?
That's right.
Yes,
Okay, and then going out, I'm seeing we've got about 3,225 going out each month. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay, so so you've got about $4,075 of what we call disposable income, and I'm sure sometimes you might be like, well, we don't know where that goes, but you know, it's so. But here's what I'm saying is, okay, Jim, I heard you tell me you were concerned, you know, something happened to you. So let's look at that. Go ahead, Stacy, put a line through that 4,800 and cross off the stick man, put an X over it.
Okay.
And let's look at that. If so, you know, Jim, I'm going to pick on you because you told me you were more concerned, and you're what we call the breadwinner. So if your income stops coming in, Stacy, this question is for you now. Walk me through what that looks like for you. Like where are we at? What would, if Jim's income stopped coming in, how long, I've got two questions for you. Number one, how long would you want to stay in the house? And number two, how long could you stay in the house? And here I'm going to shut up and I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to let her go as long as she wants.
Well, we don't really have a backup plan. I mean, we have a little bit of cash in the bank, like about $1,000, but that's about it.
So I heard you say you don't really have a backup plan.
No,
You about 1,000 in the bank. How long do you want to stay in the house?
well, this is our home. I want to be buried in the backyard.
I understand. So this is your final home. Like you don't have, it's not really an option. You don't really care to move out, you know, to move closer to kids. You want to stay there.
I do.
Okay. Jim, Stacy just said that she's not going to be able to stay there very long. Is this why you were concerned?
yes, she loves the house. And I want her to stay in the house.
So you want her to stay in the house. She said you don't really have a backup plan. You can't really, that doesn't look like it would be possible. I mean, she's going to be underwater looking at your numbers. So we should probably put some coverage in place today, shouldn't we?
Yeah, that's the way it looks.
That's the way it looks. Yes.
Okay, so let's go ahead and look at that. Now, depending on where they're at, everybody, this is how I'm going to help them. So I know that they're both healthy. You know, and I'm going to tell them. So any of the plans I'm going to show you today, you'll be able to afford, you know, looking at your disposable income. But I don't want any of my families to be insurance poor. And, you know, we're no longer 20 years old or 30 years old. And please don't be offended because neither am I. But you guys actually qualify for a lot more coverage than I do, because you know how I told you about having 2 cancers in my background. It really eliminates me from a lot of coverage out there or for an immediate payout. But you guys qualify for an immediate payout because you're healthy today. So after we put a plan in place today, it doesn't matter, Jim, if you get sick, you get cancer, you have a heart attack, you get older. The plan I'm going to help you with, you're guaranteed for your premium payment each month never increase. You don't have to worry about those plans in 5, 10, 25 years. It's never going to increase. And that death benefit is always going to be there. It's non-taxable. It's always going to be there for your Stacy until you're no longer here. Okay. Does that make sense?
It does. Yeah.
Yes.
time's sake, you guys, because we only have about 5 minutes left, I'm going to shorten this, but you know, normally I would go into asking them if they know the difference between a term and a whole life. And I just quickly explained, term has a termination date. You know, carriers don't want to do a term when we're 70 years old. And I would never recommend that for you because they're only going to give you like 5-10 years. How good is that if you outlive it and you're paying, you know, overly paying? Like, why would I recommend that to my family when their mortgage is 30 years long and the term is only going to give them 5 or 10 years and it's renewable until they're 95? But you better believe when they turn 75 or 80, that premium is going to shoot so high up, that's going to be higher than their monthly mortgage. I'm not going to put them in that position. So that's why I'm going to go with the whole life. And then here is where I'm going to, okay, so here's, you know, from what all my families like to do, Jim, is buy each other time. So, you know, you may have, you know, and Stacy might have told me, you know, well, I can, you know, maybe my sister might come and, you know, help me out or something, one of my kids, and I'm going to use that. I'm going to say, you know, this will buy you time to figure out how to stay in the house. So whether, you know, maybe your sister comes live with you or one of your grandkids or your daughter or your kids or your best friend. I've had people like that, 2 widows go live with each other because their kids grew up and, you know, they both lost their husband, but they've joined forces. People do that now. So this is going to buy you time, Stacy, because, or maybe if you need to turn around and sell a house, I know you want to stay there, but right now, as it sits, you told me you don't have a backup plan and you wouldn't be able to stay there very long. You know what happens if you don't make the payments after 3 months, right?
Right.
Exactly. Now we can put off utilities, we can put off our phone bill, but we can't put that $2,000 a month mortgage payment. So Jim, here's where we can keep it affordable for you and we can make it last forever. Your mortgage payment is $2,000 a month. This is what we call an equity protection plan. We are protecting your equity because your home, the loan on it is $378,000, but we identified early on that it's really worth like $600,000. So you've got over $200,000 of equity in that home that at worst case, if Stacy had to sell the house, she could take that equity and that is going to allow her to, you know, maybe buy a small condo, you know, or a really small house, but she's not going to be homeless like what we're looking at right now with no plan in place. So we take the $2,000 a month mortgage, and if we times that by 6 months, that comes to $12,000. So now this is a 6-month plan. Go ahead and write down, Jim and Stacy, 6 months plan. It means you're going to get a lump sum payment in your hand when Jim's no longer here. And that, you know, when you're at his funeral, that you don't have to worry about how am I going to make next month's mortgage payment or the one after that, the one after that. You have that peace of mind now that I've got this check that is going to pay the huge $2,000 a month for the next 6 months. That's your 6-month plan. And that one will cost you only $98 a month. Go ahead and write that down. If you want to buy her more time, we're just going to double that. And that's your 1-year plan. Now you're going to give her 1 year to stay in the house. Okay, that's a $24,000. It's 1 year. You're buying her more time. She can do whatever she wants with it. Bottom line is you're buying her time. And that one, Jim, is only going to be $185 per month. And then the top plan is going to give her 1.5 years of time. You're buying her time. So, you know, at the end of the day, it's really just going to be a matter of how much time that you want to give to Stacy when you're no longer here to provide that income to keep her in the house. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Okay, so the last plan is 1.5 years, and that one is only $250 a month. So just after you've written all these down, out of curiosity, which of these plans holds the most value to you, Jim? Like, how much time would you like to give to Stacy?
I think we should work to get her a year. The $185.
That would help.
You feel good about a year, Stacy?
I do. I can figure
Okay.
something out.
Yeah, I think that's a good plan. You know, it'll keep it. It's a nice, good plan. It'll give you good time to figure out what you're going to do. All right. So I'm just going to go through some medical questions. And they're really easy. And then I'm just going to go right to the application because they just told me. I'm not going to ask them, okay, would you like to do that? They just told me. And we just walked through it. And because of time's sake, it's 9:01. I'm going to quit it. But if you don't have an appointment and you have any questions of how to overcome something, feel free to open up. Maybe, Chris, do we have like 5 minutes that we can give people time to ask questions? What's your number one objection for anybody here that you feel like, gosh, you know, I'm just struggling with this? Because I struggled really hard in the beginning. It took me a long time to learn this, to how to help people.
Hey, Stella, this is Spencer. How are you?
Excellent. How are you, brother?
Great presentation, by the way. Thank you. I want to just throw something out that is a little flag that I ran into with my agents before on backup plans. So you did a great job at the way you asked it, but I know agents have run into problems when they mention a backup plan, because then they scurry around to find a reason not to purchase the plan because they've got a backup plan. Or, well, we've got this other money sitting. Oh, you didn't tell me about that, right? They're not telling you all that's there. So would you address that really quickly if you got that? Because that I think is important for our new guys that's probably going to see that.
Absolutely. That's a beautiful question. I love it, Spencer. Thank you so much. Because I get that a lot. And that I'm not, remember what he just said, I've already got assets. Oh, well, she's going to be okay. She'll figure it out. Or, you know, this or that. That's going to happen, you guys. And those are frustrating. I have not shown them any numbers yet because I'm still at that illustration of like, what does that look like? And if they tell me, you know, what's your backup plan? I ask them and they're like, and he starts, you know, the husband's like, oh, she'll figure it out. You know, she's smart. She'll get a job. I'm just going to listen and I'm going to wait for the wife to respond. And I'm going to say, is that, you know, is that how you feel? Notice how I say, is that feel? Feel is a word you want to use in your language. Is that how you feel, Stacy? And she might say, she might even be stupid enough, sorry, to say, oh, yeah, you know, I mean, we've got like enough, you know, to cover 6 months of mortgage payments already in our bank account. Yeah, absolutely. And that's smart of you. I'm going to congratulate them on it. And I'm going to say that's really good because not a lot of people have 6 months. But remember when I told you that I drained my life savings because of life's unexpected happenings? The reason people get insurance on themselves is the same reason you get insurance on your phone, homeowners insurance in case there's a fire. You might have 20,000 in a bank, but do you really want to drain your life savings to pay for all the house damage? So this plan is intended for it to pay out immediately. Like because usually people have a retirement or nest egg that most of my families, and I didn't get into that bit in the beginning. I learned from Monique Al-Rawi. She said, you overcome those objections by putting them out there in the first place. And you say, you know, most of my families, they don't want to use their retirement or nest egg because there's a purpose for that, right? So this is just strictly solely to cover the mortgage. And if they're still coming back with, Yeah, but I mean, that's what we saved it up for. So, nothing's going to happen to us. I'm going to say nothing's going to happen to you. Is that what you're telling? You've got a crystal ball, nothing's going to happen to you. And they're going to be like, well, I mean, we're smart, we're this, or that. Okay, well, it sounds like we really don't need to go through the options then. Maybe if in your mind you feel like this is just a luxury and you're not worried about what's going to happen to Stacy, after what we just went through, then there's no need for us to move forward. I'm not going to waste my time. I'm not going to give them the satisfaction of giving them any quotes if they're going to tell me that. And there are times when they've said, okay, and they get off the phone, pardon me, but all pissed off. And I'm like, okay, and I'm nice to them. And I'm like, well, thank you. Have a nice day. It was an honor to serve you today. I don't, because, sometimes they've called me back and she might've said, you know what, I'm sorry, Bob was in a bad mood that day. Do you have a plan that, maybe it's just 6 months? I've actually had that happen. And then sometimes I hear from them again. On the other note, if they say they have assets, I've got this, I've got that, it's all in the same bucket. It's all going to be about, they have to tell me that they need it. If they don't, I'm not going to move forward and I'm not going to help everybody. And they need to understand it. Does it feel good? No. Does it make me feel like, I'm any less of a consultant? It doesn't any longer. It used to in the beginning of my journey. I used to feel like I'm not, what's wrong with me? It's just, no, I'm just not sitting in front of enough people. You have to sit, not make appointments, sit with at least 10 people a week, because there's going to be people you're not going to help. It's going to happen. But the more people that you actually sit with or help them go through that whole process, I guarantee you, people need your help and you're going to help them. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you, Stella. That was really good.
You're welcome. Absolutely. Anyone else have any questions? Any objections? Throw it all out here. Now's the time.
Hey, Stella, I think you covered the big one. Can you, you talked about savings and the backup plan. Can you address the families that say, oh, well, we have life insurance to cover that? We have enough life insurance to cover that, like 6 months plus funeral plus blah, 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 blah. I get that one a lot and it's interesting.
Yeah, that's a good one. I get it too. I will always try to get those answers up front. On the new sheets that are in Quility, there is a place on here that says, I don't know if you can see it. Oh, wait a minute, right in there. It says, do you currently have life insurance? And the way that I ask it is I like to ask them, have you ever been denied for any life insurance? And they'll tell me, no, I never got it. Or no, we have it. We've got life insurance. So I find out when I'm making the appointment if they have life insurance, and they'll tell me and I'll say, oh, that's awesome. Oh, that's good. Is that, when does that expire? I learned this recently. Somebody said that. I think it was on a recent call. We don't ask, is it term or whole life? We say, when does that expire? And they'll say, oh, I don't think it ever expires. I think it's a whole life. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's awesome. How much is it for? And because half the people that tell me it's whole life, it's not. We find out, we dig deep and we find out that it expires next year or in 10 years. And their mortgage is 30 years long and they've got $400,000 note. So it's important to dig on that. So I'm going to find out up front and I'm going to name that pony. Chris told me to listen to Rex Knight a long time ago. And he talks about if somebody says, oh, I've already got life insurance, maybe it's a whole life for $10,000 and it's for burial. So I'm going to ask them, oh, you've got $10,000 whole life. Oh, that's awesome. How long ago did you get that? And what is that? What did you get that for? What did you get that for? That's naming the pony. I have them tell me what they got it for. And they might say, oh, it's for burial. you know, and it's for this. Okay, so you got that for burial. Anything is that intended for anything else? Just burial, you know, burial and final expenses. Okay, all right. Okay, and I'll make a note of that with an arrow on my notes. I take a ton of notes because now I'm going to let them know that you told me that that was for burial. So if we do this other plan for another 10,000, that's for mortgage, because it can't cover your burial, your final expenses, and your mortgage payments. I mean, it's not going to spread that long, you know. So that's how I handle that one. Does that help? Anybody else? Well, if anything else comes up, email Chris and I, and we'll come back on another Zoom call, you know, in one of our team meetings over the next 30 days. And we'll have it be all about overcoming objections. And because we get them all the time, I still learn so much, you guys. I don't know it all. I'm just teaching you what I've gone through being in front of people after people after people after people. And from listening to all the training, being here, plugging in like you're doing. So great job being here. Because I love how, what's his name said, Danny Young or somebody said that, he said, Tom Chisholm said it best. The answer to your problem is in the next home. So just being in front of the next person is going to help you solve the problem of how to help them, because they're going to help you go through those painful learning curves like I did. All right, well, we should wrap it up because we're about 12 minutes over. I'm so grateful that all you guys are here. Look at all these people. We got almost 20 people. We've been growing, because for you brand new people, just to tell you real quick, this used to be filled up a lot, but as our agency owners grow, we break off. And the last agency owner that we had was with John Paul Vetter and his team. They broke off. And so I don't think I ever want to break off from you guys. That makes me cry to think about. But our next agency owners, you know, breaking off are going to be me, Terry, Stacy, Jim, Donna, Spencer. I mean, there's a ton of you. I hope I didn't miss anybody. I'm looking at pictures on here. All of you, you know, when you start building your business and it gets to be too big, then you just start breaking off. And Chris has seen his levels break off over the past few years. And so this is really cool to see all the new people, and all the new people on top of the leaderboards, like Victoria Hayes and all of you guys. And if you're not on top of the leaderboards, don't feel bad. I was there lots of times in my beginning journey. So, you know, it's just keep doing what you're doing. Just have belief in yourself, do your self-development, and use assumptive language, and just keep plugging in. It'll turn around. If you weren't on that call with Scott Mink a couple of weeks ago, oh my gosh, you guys, he talked about how he went through a dry spell of like almost a month, or I don't know, a number of weeks where he wasn't helping people. And sometimes we go through that and it's hard. Don't let it keep you back. You know, we understand. So, you know, reach out to your mentor, and we're always here for you guys because we love you and we want to see you succeed. All right. So let's go have an amazing day and month.
Great job, Stella.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you for the chicken.